Hello guys, I'm Nu-Trix, and today we're looking into Cherry Audio latest software. Cherry Audio, if you don't know them, you should. They're doing amazingly cool plugins. They're soft synth most of the time and some effects. Well, recreation of a lot of classic synths, and on top of that, their own stuff that nobody did before. They're just creating new stuff. In this case, I think it's one of their first drum machine that they are doing, the CR-78 for Cherry Rhythm 78. I am a fan of the CR-78 sound, not the programming, not the way it works, the sound, the rhythm. It just sounded really cool and so iconic sound-wise that you just listen to it and go, it is so electronic sounding. I like that. At the same time, it's just like sweet little sounds that you get out of it. When you see these recreation, either they sound the same and have the same, I'm not going to say flaws, but I'm going to say limits of the original. And the C78, it would be stupid to force ourselves just to have the limits of the original today when we have software and all that stuff to make it easier. So Cherry Audio with this one went really above and beyond to make it modern. So you still have that original sound. It's physical modeling, so it's virtual analog. It's not samples. So you can, on top of just playing the drum machine, you can change the sounds. You can modify them. You've got synthesis control, limited, but still more than what you would get with samples. And you have the option of creating your own rhythms, effects. Just let's dive in. You'll see how fun it is. And it is not like having a 78. It's a much more modern experience, and it's much more powerful. That's what it is. Let's just go. You'll see. You'll hear. So the screen itself looks a lot like the original. First of all, let's go back to the logic of how this works. You have three different windows. You see it on the side here. You get panel mode. You get the main, which is basically the screen that you would have on the original device. The voice edit, which is non-existent on the original 78. And you can even change the MIDI note of each of these drum sounds. So you could reassign them somewhere else if you want this to respond to a drum beat that you have, a MIDI sequence that you already have, and you can just reassign to the right MIDI note. It will play the drum that you have. And you also have a panel of effects and mixer. And this is really cool. We'll go back to this in the end, but this is really fun in the way it works. You have overdrive, flanging, delay, reverb, and this little interface here is just so fun to work. It's just quick and really inspiring. So let's go back to the main first. There's two main ways to look at it. You've got the preset mode. If you select preset, you're basically playing back what was on the original hardware fixed memory. So you have these, choices of presets, and when you click on it, you press play, you have the original pattern and sounds. Some of them are with swing. The master volume if you want. We have the bossa nova, samba, and for each of them you have two versions, A and B. Go back to A. So you can switch between two, and they're an evolution of the same pattern if you want. Rock, and again A and B. I just love that kick. It's so electronic sounding. Disco. Now, the really cool thing is you can select two of them at the same time. So let's say you play rock, 1, press on shift and click on bossa nova. The two pattern or presets are playing at the same time. So it gives you a more complex. So right away you've got, there's a combination you can have that's much more complex than each of them separately. Okay, so that's a cool thing. Now, if you like what you hear, you can export this as a MIDI file to your favorite software. And you have it here. Now I have a pattern. I can go in and edit. So you can also use it to generate new MIDI drums and then modify them and do extra if you prefer to work in here. Now let's go back to the plugin. Here. So, and then it gives you the option of just modifying this, and this becomes the sequence if you want. Now, if you want to stay in this, one of the original way of using the 78 that was really cool was the fact that you have cancel voices. So you could, in real time, having your drum play and say, I don't want to hear the bass drum anymore. Click on it, just cancel it. Kind of a mute if you want. Snare, hi-hat, and cymbals, and claves. So really, again, a quick way to have variation in real time of your pattern that it is playing. Now you've got the tempo. That's mostly useful when you're in standalone. In this case, I'm using the DAW, so it's following. I mean, if I want to change this, you can, but it's a multiplication of the tempo of the song, you see? So it changes. But when you're in standalone, you're basically controlling the tempo of the rhythm here. You have velocity if you want it or not, accent if you want. You can even assign a MIDI note to the accent. So when you've got the accent, it's going to be louder for that note. And you can sync the host or not. In this case, I want it. I want to sync the sequencer that is working here. You have also fade in and fade out. That's how you want the drum or the pattern to come in. Fading in. And when you press stop, fading out. So that's the long version. Short is this one here. So it's rather fast when it starts, but when it stops, you hear the fade out, and then off, it doesn't have any. It's just well, off. It basically on and off, very mechanical. Now I'm going to stay in presets. So I've got still my rock and bossa nova. I play this. You have variations here. You can automatically, every 2 measure, go to the variation. And these are filled. Or you can play them when you want. You press it. Comes back to the rhythm. So you've got 7 different variations. So they're not linking the style of the preset. They're just 7 different variations. Now, if you want to do something like we did here by rhythm A and B and switching like this, you can. You'd go select rhythm A and B here, and then when you press it, switch to the B, go back to the A. So you could say, I want this to be automatic. Automatic. Every 2 measures, it's going to go to B. Goes A, B, A, B. So that's, you've got different ways to do it, but that's the logic here. You can also go and say it's going to be a rolling of the snare or of the, let's see, high bongo, or a break. It's just going to stop. So that's it. And this can be at every 4 measures, 6 measures, 8 measures, 12 measures. So you can automate this, or you can manually trigger it when you want to. Comes back, you know. That's the logic. Okay, pretty cool. Actually, it is. Now, I'm still in presets, but we still can go further with the presets. I'm not going to look at users for now, because users, you can create your own patterns, and you can create your own songs. That's interesting. Let's go into voice edit. So even that song playing right now, that pattern, if I say I want to change the pitch of the kick, I can. I can change the decay of the kick, the snare. I want it to be more high pitched or filtered, so you have really just a high noise. Or opened, it's basically like a low, as a high pass filter on the noise. You get the click, and less of it. Okay, get the rim shot. That's the long decay of it. And that's the pitch of the rim shot. What do you want? Hi-hat, again, same logic. Get it longer. Let's, I'm going to have this shorter now. Ring, there's a ring modulation on it. So it gives that noisy stuff. Okay, so you can control that. Cymbal, again, and get a decay of it. The color. You get a little tick, tick, tick at the beginning. And you can link the cymbal and the metallic beat or not. Get the maracas. Now we've got too much stuff happening, but you understand. Each of them you can control, pitch, decay, and some control over the noise and the tone when needed. So right away, it's pretty cool. And then the next is the effects. Right away, you've got an option of overdrive, flanger, delay, and reverb. And these switches here are on which instrument that you have at the bottom. You see from bass drum to the guiro, you can decide which one has what. So let's say we say that the snare is going to have reverb, so only the snare here. Snare has the reverb. Let's say delay is going to be here. What's going to be on the delay? This one? Okay, delay is going to be on this one. Let's go back here. It's going to be the rim shot. Delay is on the rim shot. So you get the digital tape and ping pong. Let's say ping pong. And I can sync it. And say, okay, let's add tube distortion or overdrive on the kick. Maybe not, maybe it is. Let's say more drive, less of it. If you don't want it, turn it off. Let's say we don't want it on this one. Let's say we want it on the maracas, and you get the volume of each of them here. And I'm going to do the flanger on this one. So you can really create something interesting very quickly just with this, and the way this is all, you know, positioned in a way that's pretty cool. Okay, let's go back to main. Let's try something else. Just listen to the others. Now, this one's a song. The logic of a song is that you're a user now, and in the song, what you basically have are different patterns that you place one after the other. Let's let's do one really simply. I'm going to go user. I'm going to create new one. I'm going to select user. Then you see I've got all the notes I can enter, and it looks more like a CR-78 when you select the instrument and you say, well, bass drum, that's where I want it. You know, classic stuff. I'm going to have my, I'll say snare, I was going to have it here. I'm going to have cymbals. I'm just placing stuff anywhere I can. So that's pattern number one, okay? And there's 16 steps. I can actually have less of them. Just at play, stop, just onto 10. And go to 12. So you can decide if you want something else. It goes to 16. You can also change a subdivision and then have up to 24. So it creates more of a I would say different grooves because of that. See, the groove is different. It's the same when it's same speed, but then you're dividing each note instead of dividing this in 4, dividing it in 6. So that's kind of a different rhythm, but it gives you an idea of how you want to do it. Now you have this. That's my first pattern here in select pattern 1. I can go pattern 2. Let's say can I copy this? Copy current pattern and go into paste pattern. So I've got the same one that I just did in the first one. And this one I could change. I could say, well, I want to have 2 snares. And that's it. And the hi-hat's going to be everywhere. So I've got the first one, which is this one. Second one has this. So when you do the songs, very simple. You go into song mode. See the step number 1. I want pattern number 1. So I say pattern number 1. Actually, step number 1, I want 1. And step number 2, I want to have 2. And step number 3, I want it to loop. Here you go, loop. So if I press play now, it's going to press 1, 2, and loop. That's it. So the logic is you create as much patterns as you need, and you have your whole song ready to play. So it can be a standalone drum machine running beside your kit. Now, also remember that something that's really cool. You can load this in 2 different versions inside your DAW. You can load it in the normal stereo mode, or you can load it in multi-output. So then each of your sounds have outputs that you can edit them, put reverb, delay, whatever you want on them, and then use them differently. So that's the logic. That's the whole Cherry Rhythm CR-78. Let's just listen to the presets. I was blown away with how cool they were. Doesn't sound like the original CR-78 at all. And that's cool because of that. It becomes its own thing. Song mode in this one. Some pattern, I'm guessing they're made for you to understand and hear all the sounds. But these are just weird patterns. That's really cool. Okay, what else? It's a really cool sounding. Just play all the sounds. With the one called kicks, they just play all the sounds so you hear them, but they're not a rhythm per se. So that's it. That's what the Cherry Audio CR-78 is. A lot more than the original unit that this is recreating. It goes a lot further. It's just a fun piece to work with. I hope, I might be stupid. I would love to see this as a standalone audio unit plugin running on my iPad, so I could actually use this as an extra DAW-less device running everything with the rest of the kit and I would have a CR-78 standalone on my iPad. I just, I don't know, Cherry Audio, if you can look into iPad stuff, if it runs on Mac OS, M1 chip, it should run on M1 chip here. I would just love to have it on the iPad, that's for sure. That's it. Stay safe, make more music, and see you soon. Cheers.